Well, let's not do that. So when you're writing those codes for those value types, there are some general rules you have to obey. So there is a fantastic book called Effective Java. Basically if you're writing those value types, you have to first of all obey the general contract when overriding equals, transitivity rules, like if A equals B, B equals C, so A should be equals to C, and then if A equals B, and it should be equals to B forever. And there are a lot of rules about that too. And then when you override equals, you should always override hash code, so you don't get like funky things when you all of a sudden some of the objects put in the hash table or hash map is just gone, right? And then when you implement the hash code, you have to find the right the primitive number to to implement the hash code, and also you have always to override to string. When you try to log your messages, right? You will see like a strange, like a list at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. So you have to always to override two strings. So whenever you see the log messages, you can see what's the what's each field look like, stuff like that, right? So let's take a look example. I used to work for a car company, so obviously I'm gonna take using a vehicle object, right? So for a vehicle object, it's obviously you want to know the make name, the model name, the trim name, and also the MSRP. So you would that's all the four fields you would probably get started for a vehicle object. When you try to implement that, you can do it by your hand, right? But you have to run unit tests to make sure whenever you're changing fields, adding more fields, it still doesn't break the unit test, and it's otherwise you will find like missing objects from the hash table, stuff like that. But also you can do that using like a modern ID like IntelliJ. No one should use Eclipse anyway. And then that's you can also generate all those gather methods for you, and also those equals and hash code and toStrings for you, right? But there's problem though, like you only want to know what's inside of the object, which basically you only want to know what's the make, model, trim, and MSP, but you get also nonsense stuff like the gather it, and the equals and hash code and toString. And also another problem is when it's auto-generated, right? So if you want to change your fields or want to add more fields or want to remove some fields, basically you have to tell the IDE to remove all those methods and then just regenerate again. It's pain in the ass to deal with. So that's why I'm gonna introduce the auto values. It's so auto value. Basically, it's an annotation processing tool to allows you to generate all those equals and hash code methods for you, so you don't have to worry about and also those generating too. It's developed by Google a few years ago, and they bring production and it seems working very well, and they open source a few years ago, I guess. I forgot about timeline though. So it's an annotation processing tool to generate those methods for you, and then whenever you're changing fields, adding new fields, changing the type of the fields, you don't have to worry about anything. It just works. So all of that code gonna be transitioning just like this. So basically, you have a vehicle. You still have a vehicle object, but you mark it as an abstract class and annotate with auto value, and then all those fields you're gonna provide as the abstract class, abstract method, right? And then all those, and then when the annotation process kicks in, it will find all the class annotated with auto value, and it will generate all those fields and also generate the real implementation for those abstract methods. And then that's just the basic usage for the auto values. There's a lot more stuff about that, like builders, stuff like that. And also, so the generated class is gonna be called auto value underscore something. So when you have like a factory method, you can just use that. So let's take a look at what the class is gonna be generated. It's very small, so I break it down to 3 parts. So the first of all, it's a declaration of the class. First of all, it's final class, and then also it's package private. So it can be only accessed through the same package lives with the object, right? And then look at the constructors. It basically allows you to initialize without any no point exception. But there is a way to meet because sometimes you might still have like null fields in your data objects, right? So you can put like a nullable annotation on that. It's very easy to do, and they will emit those exception throwing stuff. And then this is very simple, just getter method, and also it generates the two strings, equals, and hash code for you. So it's very intuitive to simple to use, and then of course extensions, right? So seems like the class is final. It's kind of everything in concrete. How would you do? Like on the Android, we probably need a parseable, right? So it's much faster to that's the way how Android talks to to do the in procedure communication, and also what if your data is come from the wire? You probably need some kind of like JSON or Moshi to represent the data. So yes, there is extensions for all of those. The way the extensions works is it adds extra steps to generate the class. So if it's parseable, it's gonna generate a class just for the parseable, and then same for the JSON and the Moshi. It does add extra like hierarchy levels to the class, but it also separates concerns, right? So each extension only take care of their own implementation of the extension, and also there's another extension called Eradicate from Square. Basically, like if you dealing with a lot of like PII, like personal identifiable information, you don't want to lock those message in the console, right? So probably you have, if you annotate it with Eradicate, you probably just it's gonna be omitted from the two-string implementation. So yeah, so set it up. Actually, it's not that trivial to set it up, because if you're using Maven, it's fine. It's a Maven. It's a plain Java object. Just use provided scope. If you're using Gradle, because since Gradle 2.12, we are adding like a similar scope as provided in Maven, but it's called compile only. If not on the latest Gradle, which you should, because it's always making improvements to build speed, stuff like that. You can use like annotation processing tool plugin. There's a lot of plugin out there. I think there's one or two plugins out there. You can just do that. And then if you're using Android, a lot of people, if you are already using like an annotation processing tool like Dagger, so you're probably already familiar with APT plugin, right? So for APT plugin, you just say, hey, that's annotation processing tool, and then also you have to give it provided. The reason why we are doing that is because the auto value project, it has both annotation and also the compiler processing. They live in the same artifact. So otherwise when you're in the IDE in IntelliJ or Android Studio, you probably won't get like autocomplete from those auto-generated class, and then it's kind of confusing, right? So there is a guy called Jake Warden. I don't know who he is. It's all over the world. Yeah, and then he basically have a little project which basically using a Maven trick. Just basically he extract all the annotations from the auto value project. So you can just so it's kind of separate the two artifacts. I think there is a pull request or issues out there on the GitHub at the the auto value project, but I don't know when it's gonna be released. Because like before we waited so long for the 1.2 release with the extension APIs, right? So yeah, and then this is a lightning talk. So I just give some reference. Of course, this is the link to the auto value project, and then there is a presentation by Googlers who created auto value introduction. It's introduction created auto value, and then it's a fantastic introduction. It says much more than my little presentation, and also it compares with other tools like Project Lambark, and also Protocol Buffer and other tools too. And then that guy I just had a talk about kind of deep diving on the auto value extensions, how the API works, how it's gonna be implemented if you want to roll your own auto value extensions. And also this guy, he created several auto value extensions. He wrote like 2 blog posts. One is introduction to the auto value, another is deep look at the auto value. And then that's it. I have plans later tonight, so I probably won't stick longer for questions. But if you have any questions, hit me on Twitter. And then I think I will make the slides available later today. So thank you.